What are you doing here?
Luke, I wanted to talk with you about something important, but then I saw this, and I was wondering what's the matter.
I have something to tell you, Steve. I'm in the CIA.
Oh, thank God! I thought it was something bad.
Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Away the gun now.
He's got a gun!
So today, Steve and I are reviewing Jack Ryan's Shadow Recruit. So Jack Ryan's Shadow Recruit is a reboot of the Jack Ryan films, a character written by Tom Clancy. And the last film that you had was The Sum of All Fears. There's also Patriot Games, The Hunt for Red October. But there hasn't been a Jack Ryan film in about 11 years. I believe The Sum of All Fears was 2002. So they thought, oh, we're just going to reboot it for a new audience. The story of Jack Ryan is he's at university first, and then I'll talk more about the university scene. He's at university, joins the Marines, and then something happens with the Marines, and then Kevin Costner approaches him, and then Kevin Costner's part of the CIA, and he approaches him, and he's like, I want you to come work for me. Then he's working at the stock exchange. Is it stock exchange, pretty much?
Pretty much, yeah.
And then with that stock exchange, he sees that something's wrong with these Russian things, and that it's something that they're plotting a terrorist attack on the US. So he's got to go to Russia, to Moscow, to find out what's truly going on. Jack Ryan Shadow Recruit stars Chris Pine, Keira Knightley, Kevin Costner. I'm so happy that Kevin Costner is sort of coming back, because he disappeared for a little while, and he's finally coming back with Man of Steel last year, which I didn't like Man of Steel, but he was still in there. He was the best thing about that in there. And then he was in this, and he's very good in this. And then we have Kenneth Branagh, who directed this, and is also the villain in this. And the last film, the most known film that he did recently is Thor. So, Jack Ryan Shadow Recruit. First off, let's start on the university scene. They had Chris Pine, like they could have just got a young person in their 20s, really, couldn't they?
Yeah.
And they had Chris Pine in chinos and a hoodie and a white t-shirt and a weird haircut, and they were like, "Yep, you're at university."
You don't really see very many university students look like that.
No.
And believe us, we are university students.
And he looked too old to be a university student. So then it's 3 years later, he's Marine, something happens there, and then. Yeah, just the Russian villain, him going after that, he's CIA. I've just told the whole storyline already, don't need to say it again. So Jack Ryan Shadow Recruit, I did enjoy it, but I was a little disappointed in ways. I'm not saying it's a bad film, because Jack Ryan is a good film, I do like it, but there's some things that I have wrong with it, mostly Keira Knightley. Would you agree on that, with Keira Knightley?
Well,
I just found her annoying in this, and I never normally find her annoying in films.
Yeah, well, I guess that was obviously then more the role itself than her, I think. Apart from what you already said, the American accent,
she has an
which
American
was
accent.
Unnecessary.
I don't know if maybe in the books or whatever, she's American, so that's probably why they had to do it, but they could have just maybe still kept her with the British accent. But Jack Ryan Shadow Recruit is a good action film. And the action moments are really good, and the storyline moments are good to this film. There's a really good suspenseful scene where you fear for those characters or what will happen, and there's a really great scene with things that Kevin Costner did that you...
Yeah, if I can just add there, this is pretty much the beginning of Andrew Ryan's Spy.
Andrew Ryan? Did you just... We're not talking about Bioshock. Jack Ryan. So it's pretty much the start of what? Not Andrew Ryan.
Yeah, it's pretty much the start of Jack Ryan's spy career, and you really, really can feel how he's just not in the job yet. He doesn't know what to do. He doesn't really... He isn't figuring what's happening around him, and you really see that very well in the film, I thought.
It's also... It's quite nice that in ways it reminds you of very, very old spy films. It reminded me of old spy films, and it also reminded me of current films like the Bourne Identity, or the Bourne Trilogy, and the Mission Impossible films, because it had something very nice about it. There's a scene in a cinema, which I don't want to give away too much for the film, but it felt like it was something from a very old spy film, and it was just something nice. There's very many nice things to this, and this just feels like a thriller action that was something from a very long time ago, if that makes sense. But it's in this time period. It is set in 2013, I believe. The Russian villain, Kenneth Branagh, I'd say it was a bit weird him playing a Russian villain because, as you know, he's British, born in Ireland, and he does the generic. Yeah, how do you say it? What is the Russian accent?
He does the Russian accent.
The Russian accent. Hey, Nika, my brother, Nika. That sort of, I don't know, that Russian accent that is really generic. And I know it will just be like, audience can just be like, oh, he's the villain because he's Russian. He talks in that accent. Villain straight away. You could just say one word and people would be like, villain. And you might even find out later on in the film that he's not a villain, but people just like hear that voice and they're like, a villain because there's so many Russian villains in films. So Jack Ryan Shadow Recruit, did you like it?
I liked it, yes.
I'd say the only disappointing points are the whole Keira Knightley and Chris Pine sort of their romance in this. The Jack Ryan and I've forgotten her name, what character she plays. She plays Kathy Muller, who he meets very early on in his life after the Marine thing that happens. And they meet very early on and they have this romance and stuff, but it keeps doing very unnecessary flashbacks to their romance, and that's the only disappointing thing I found about it, really, because you don't really connect with it properly.
Yeah, it seems very artificial.
It doesn't feel natural in any way, and it seems like their relationship is going some weird place at some points, and that reenactment at the beginning is an actual scene from Jack Ryan. They say it in a bit different way. He's like, because she thinks they're having an affair. She's like, I thought you were having an affair, and he's like, no, I'm in the CIA. And she says, thank God, and it's just like, you wouldn't say thank God to that. That's not a good job, really. Like, you can get killed in this job. But I hope that this will get a sequel in ways. I think that if Kenneth Branagh does this again, and if Chris Pine comes back for it, I think that it could actually be a really good franchise, and they could actually do something really great with it. I think if this is just a starting point, then I think in the next film they could do something really incredible with it and actually make it like a whole lot better and add more depth and things to it. That's the things that sort of there's not a really proper depth at points, but altogether, Jack Ryan, not Andrew Ryan, Shadow Recruit is an enjoyable film, and I am going to give it a 7 out of 10 just because of those few things that I didn't really like about it, but I still enjoyed the action moments. Thought it had good suspense. People do act good in it, like Chris Pine is really good as Jack Ryan. Kevin Costner is just great as his character, and I think Kenneth Branagh is a bit weird him being the villain, but I think he pulls off the villain and he does a good directing job here as well. So what's your rating on it?
Yeah, if it actually becomes like a larger franchise, then I'm first of all looking forward to it because I did enjoy the film a lot. I just would wish it would be a bit more of the espionage part, and if they put the relationship into the film, then maybe a bit less but more concise, just more, let's say, important relationship scenes and not just some, as you said, flashbacks or stuff that you don't really need.
Just them laying in bed and things.
So that's why I'm also going to give it a 7 out of 10.
You copied me.
I didn't.
So if you've seen Jack Ryan, Shadow Recruit, say down there if you enjoyed it. And yeah, Steve and I are getting back to doing reviews as he's back now. The new films we should be reviewing soon are the Lego Movie. That's the next film that I think we're seeing. I don't know if there's anything before that.
Yeah,
but
I think so.
We're probably doing something before that, and you'll probably see Steve before that at some point. But
I might be in some of the bad
movie
month.
Bad movie month happening soon. So if you want to leave requests for bad movie month down there, you can go do that now. That's all for today. Thank you very much, and we shall see you again soon. I shall see you again very soon. Goodbye. I thought I was going to see if you could say goodbye at the same time, but you just want to say, you can just say bye now.
Bye. Goodbye.
That's good. So I'm going to tell you, Steve.
Yeah?
I'm in the CIA.